Hello students and family members, it's Mr. Panza with another helpful video answering this question. How do we multiply multi-digit numbers by multi-digit numbers? We've multiplied multi-digit numbers by a single-digit number, and now we're just going to add at least one more digit. The great thing is, nothing really changes. Let me show you how. First of all, I like to call this method the double-decker lattice multiplication method. The reason it's double-decker is because now you are creating two tiers. You're not just going to create a top tier, like the one I'm drawing right here, but you're also going to create a second deck. It almost looks like a four-square box, and then you just create your lattice boards based on that. This lattice will allow you to multiply a two-digit number, for example 82, by another two-digit number, for example 13. And using this will allow us to keep the same exact three steps. Just as a reminder, here are the three steps. 1, you need to create an appropriate lattice board. For double-decker, that means you're going to be creating a 2 on top of 2 to make sure you have enough lattice to multiply a multi-digit number by a multi-digit number. Then, once you have created that appropriate board, you are going to multiply the two numbers on top of the box by the numbers to the right of the box. I'll show you how to make sure you know exactly where the numbers are going to go. And then finally, once all of the boxes are filled in with multiplication, it's time to add diagonally. And again, I remind students, don't forget that when they regroup, they must also add those ones. So let's take a look at these steps in action with a couple of examples. The first one I have is finding the product of 85 times 13. So I've set up step 1 for number 1. I've created an appropriate lattice board. You can see that because I have a two-digit number on top and a two-digit number to the side. And I'm not just dealing with one digit anymore. If I were, then I would remove this, and I wouldn't even need this bottom box anymore. But because it's a multi-digit number, I need that bottom box. Now I just follow the same exact steps I've had for multiplying with lattice in the previous couple of lessons. So I'm going to take this number 1 and multiply it by the 5, which is 5, and put my answer right there. I try and tell the students to ignore this bottom box first. In fact, some students will cover it up with their hands. I can get rid of that 3 for the time being and then multiply. Then 8 times 1 is 8. Now that I'm done completely filling in the top chart, I am going to take a look at the bottom number, which means the 3 re-enters, and I can junk out the 1. I'm done with it. So I do 5 times 3, which is going to get me the answer of 15. Then I move on to 8 times 3, and I put that answer in my bottom left-hand corner. 8, 16, 24 on my 3 touch points. 24 is my answer. I also wanted to make sure that I highlight the correct place values so that I'm pulling out the right numbers. Here's my 1s. I'm going to change highlighter color so you're not confused. Now this is my 10s. The reason I change highlighter colors is because now I may have more than just 2 digits. In this case, I have 3. And here's my 100s. And finally, my 1000s. Now I'm ready for step 3. Step 3, because all of the boxes are filled in, I'm adding diagonally. I start with my 1s, always right to left in math. So my 1s is nothing more than a 5. I place that into my 1s category. I'm adding 4 plus 1 plus 5. So 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I cannot fit the number 10 into a single-digit place value holder here in the 10s, so I have to only put my 0 there, and I must carry my 1. I always put a plus 1 to remind myself. Now this is why some students forget to add that additional 1. It's because they've already highlighted and they don't see or don't remember that they have a 1 up here. If you have to, pull out your highlighter again and highlight so you don't forget to add that plus 1 that you carried. Now do 8 plus 2, which is 10, plus 1 more is 11, which means I carry my 1 and I bring down the other 1, which leaves me with my answer, 1,105. Let's look at one more example. Double-decker multiplication using lattice is nothing more than creating a second chart to answer with lattice. This one, 68 times 92. I again want to ignore the bottom first. Don't even think about the 2 until you have filled in the top box. 9 times 8 is 72. Using flexible math strategies, I was able to solve that quickly. 9 times 6, flexible math strategies again, tells me that that is 54. Now, I can get rid of this 9, bring back in my 2. Now, students can easily do the same exact thing that I'm doing on the board by just covering up the top or bottom boxes with their hands or their wrists. And now they're ready to multiply 8 times 2, which is 16, and 6 times 2, which is 12, placing them in the correct boxes. I'm totally done with all of the outside numbers, but just so we have a reference, it was 68 times 92. I'm ready for step 3. First, I highlight. Here's my ones, my tens, my hundreds, and my thousands. Looks like I forgot a number here. Let me add in that 4. So now I'm ready to add. I bring down the correct numbers. Nothing to add with this 6, so the 5 just gets brought down. 2 plus 1 plus 2 more is 5. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 1 more is 12. Carry my 1, bring down my 2. And then 5 plus 1 is 6, which means my answer is 6,255. Or excuse me, as you can see, you can make a slight mistake. I only needed to bring down my 6, and instead I made it a 5. And these are some of the simple mistakes that students will make as well, whether it's adding incorrectly, forgetting to carry a 1, forgetting to add the 1. Otherwise, the lattice method is the one that really helps them. Now, normally, I don't provide the lattice box for them. So if we were asked the question to find the product of 43 and 23, first of all, I know that that word product means I'm multiplying. Second, I need to follow these same exact steps. Creating a double-decker multiplication chart using lattice is step 1. Step 1, create that appropriate lattice board. So here's my appropriate lattice board with a 4-square box. I'm slicing them diagonally so I know exactly where my multiplication answers are going, and then I extend, extend, extend. Recognize that this is lined paper. I find that lined paper helps limit some mistakes. 43 on top, 23 on the side. Let me erase here so you do not get confused. Step 2, I multiply. Now in this case, I can cover this up, the bottom number 3, and do 2 times 3. Get 6, place my answer. 4 times 2 is 8, place my answer. 3 times 3, now I'm on to the bottom, is 9, and I place my answer. And 4 times 3 is 12. Now I'm ready to highlight and add. Pull out my ones, pull out my tens. I'm going to eventually add up my hundreds and thousands. You can notice you can use the same exact color highlighter or change if you'd like. Now I'm going to try and not make the same mistake I made on the previous problem. I'm pulling out a 9. Then I'm doing 6 plus 2 plus 0, which is 8. Then 8 plus 1 plus 0, which is 9. And nothing up here, so my answer is 989. So even though I maybe provided the lattice charts for the students in the first couple of examples, this is what they're expected to do. This is step 1, using lined paper to create the lattice chart so that they can answer double-decker, multi-digit multiplication problems. That's how you use lattice to solve multiplication in a non-traditional way. Hope this video helps.